Hello, Stefan. This is Coach Matt over at Primal Athlete Training Center, coming to you today with your video analysis. Hey, first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you very much for signing up for video analysis. It's never easy for athletes to send in video of their throws and to get critiqued, especially when they've really never met the person who's doing the coaching or doing the critiquing of their throws. But to give you an idea of how this works, basically, what I try to do in every video analysis is have you leaving the analysis with three really big things to concentrate on, three really big things to focus on. And for some people, it might be a real, huge thing, a medium-sized thing, and a small thing. And I think that's what we're going to get through here. It's certainly, easy for me to recognize that you have been at this, that you have been throwing for quite a while. You are not a beginner. You are somebody, even going by the email that you sent me, you're somebody who has a lot of experience. Your throws are very good. You're a great athlete. Just to kind of go through this here, 41.16 meters in the discus, 52 in the javelin. You don't train shot put, but you're almost throwing 12 meters. You also run the 100 meter. You do the high jump. You do the long jump. In the weight room, your weight room is great. You're getting, you already have an idea sort of here. You're talking about how major issues that you have no push from the right leg. The hips are not always turning forward, no correct weight shifting, too slow placement of the left leg, losing balance. I mean, you've kind of given me a lot of these issues. Over-rotation in almost every throw, letting discus drop by your hip, therefore throwing out of the pocket. You're doing what a lot of athletes do who are self-coached. You're very good at picking out small points that need to be corrected. And then you go into a practice or you send an email like the one that you sent, and there are literally 10 different things that you want to fix. There are 10 different things that you're trying to correct. My goal in this video analysis is to get to the root of those problems. I want to get to the root of the issues and say, what is going to give you the most improvement? What are the 2 or 3 things that you should focus on to try to correct a lot of those problems that you listed in your email? Because what you've listed in your email essentially are results. Things that you're noticing, things that are happening in your technique. It's very easy to identify the things that are going wrong, but it's very tough to identify what things you need to correct to make the biggest improvement to that long list that you sent me. So let's start going through and looking at your standing throws. Secondly, great job in sending in the video the way that you did. You sent in your standing throws, your mirror turns, your South Africans, your full throws with and without discs, and you also sent a video analysis that is 1/4 the speed of the video we're going to watch now. So what that does is that gives me a great idea and lets me look at your full throws, and then by slowing them down in my software, I can slow it down even more. We're going to get like a frame-by-frame analysis here, which is perfect. So we're going to start off with your standing throws. And when we watch this in real time, I can tell you the first thing that I notice is that you're not getting extension of that right leg. That's one of the things that you wrote in your email, is that you're not getting extension. But we're going to try to figure out the reason why, and hopefully that's going to show you exactly what needs to happen to get more extension. You can see here in your standing throw videos that you're getting in a great position, great power position. You've got a pretty decent amount of bend in that right leg. You're able to wind all the way back to get a lot of separation between the discus and your right hip. It's what happens once you start to throw. So what we want to do always is work from the ground up. And what we mean by that is that you start by moving your feet, then getting the knee to extend, then getting the hips to turn. And essentially the way that your body works is that the extension of your legs will rotate the hips. You can certainly swivel your hips when your knees are bent, but that's not what we're trying to do in the full throw. In the full throw, we're trying to get as much extension, as much vertical push, and as much power, as much push out of those legs to rotate the hips. So the violent extension of those legs is what's going to rotate the hips. Now if we go to your video that you sent that is 1/4 of the speed, you can see what's happening here. At the release, you still have your right leg bent. The hips have swiveled all the way around, but the leg is still bent. So what that shows me is that what you're doing is swiveling the hip around. So you're swiveling the hip around without getting extension of the legs first. So we need to go feet, knee, hip. Turn the foot, extend the legs, and then the extension of the legs is going to twist your hips. We'll rotate the hips. So let's take a look at your next standing throw here, and we'll see what we're talking about. So as you see, you pull back. This is the same video that we're looking at currently in the full speed version. And as we go, you can see we're moving. Here comes the foot. So the foot moves. Your upper body starts to move as well, and that leg is bent. So you can see how your foot is turned, your shoulders are starting to turn, the hips are starting to turn. So everything's just a little bit out of order, but that leg never extends. So I think the best thing for you to work on, and we'll see as we go through that this happens in, as you mentioned, every single throw. The leg stays bent. Next one, the leg stays bent. We move on to your mirror turns. The leg stays bent, and now that there's more force behind you, you're actually falling off to the right. You're kind of flying off to the right, and as you mentioned, throwing out of your pocket. As you extend your legs, what this will also do is get you to stand up a little bit taller with better posture. That's going to make the throw a lot more efficient. It's going to keep you a lot more well balanced at the front of the circle, and it's also going to help with the timing of your feet. So just by focusing on getting a big extension of your right leg and the left leg to rotate the hips, it's going to solve a lot of these issues at your release. Now again, the reason why we do that, we want to see the leg extension first. So the leg extension will be first before the hips rotate. In order to accomplish this, what you need to do is go back to basics. As you mentioned in your email, what you do is standing throws, mirror turns, South Africans, and then your fulls. And that's a typical day of practice for you. What I would like you to do is to take a few days and to work on nothing but your power position throws. Work on nothing but your standing throws. So what that's going to do, and what I'd like you to do, is to break it down step by step, just like you've never thrown a discus before. You may even want to take the discus out of your hand and hold something in your hand and release and throw something where it doesn't really matter how far it goes. You know, a metal pipe, a water bottle filled up with rocks or with sand. That way, if it's not going far, it doesn't really matter, because that's not the point of what we're doing. What we want to do is try to break down your power position into a step-by-step robotic movement. So what I'd love to see you do is pull back that water bottle, pull back that bowling pin, pull back that metal pipe, whatever you have, pull it back just like you're holding a discus, and then work from the ground up. So working from the ground up, what we want to see is, again, the feet will turn first. So as the foot turns, you're going to keep your head and your left arm pointed back at the camera. So the head and the right arm is going to be pointed back at the camera. From this position, the first thing that moves will be your foot. As you can see here, the hand and your shoulders start to move first before the foot. So we need that foot to move. You're already starting to swivel the shoulders. You're already starting to swivel with the hips. Turn the foot first. So by holding something in your hand other than a discus, you won't be scared of dropping it. So hold a pipe, hold a water bottle, hold something in your hand that you can just grab onto and grip onto that won't fall out. That way you can focus on your feet. So hold this position with a pipe or a water bottle in your hand, focus on the feet. Turn the feet first. Once the feet turn, remember, you're still looking back at the camera. Your left arm is still pointing back at the camera. Once the feet turn, then you can violently start to extend your legs straight up to vertical, just like you're jumping. Don't leave the ground, but put a lot of power into that movement. Violently extend those legs. A good way of thinking of it, instead of jumping off the ground, push the earth down. Pretend that you're pushing the earth away from you and violently extend your legs. What you're going to find is that in turn is going to rotate the hips. So the extension of the legs will rotate the hips. Now, as this is happening, you are trying as hard as possible to keep that water bottle, to keep that metal pipe, whatever it is, to keep that back in your hand, to keep your head and your left hand pointed back toward the camera. You're going to feel that stretch on your right side as the hip continues to move forward because of the violent extension of your legs. And then you're going to be able to whip around with your upper body. And what you're going to find is that the discus is no longer down by your hip. You're no longer falling off to the right. And when you release, your shoulders are going to be square, your shoulders are going to be level, and you're going to have much better posture and have a much more efficient, smoother throw. So you're not going to be just kind of quickly swiveling the hips and then letting the discus go and falling off to the right. See how everything is leaning to the right? You look like a banana. You're just curved over in this C position. So you're pulling back great. Now watch. Upper body, boop, and see how your curvature of your body is here? You're not actually throwing out of your hip or throwing it out of your back pocket. It's just that your body is in such a curved position that that just happens to be where the discus comes out. So we want to see full extension of the leg. The full extension of your legs will rotate the hips. It's going to keep your shoulders level and a much more efficient push. See this? How you're way over here curved over and jumping out the right side of that circle? That's what we need to avoid. So break it down. Make sure that you are going through step by step. It's one of these things, Stefan, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to do. Because you've been throwing for so long, because you're used to throwing hard, you're used to throwing far in practice, you've got to kind of swallow your pride a little bit and work on this step by step by step. It might take 2 days, it might take 3 days, it might take a week of practice. But the 2 days, the 3 days, the week of practice that you're going to take correcting this is going to make years and years and years worth of throwing more PRs and throwing a lot farther. So you've got to make sure that you break it down, that you stay patient, and you work from the ground up. Turning the feet, extension of the legs, rotation of the hips, then you can block with your left arm, then you can throw the discus. So feet, knee, hip, pull with the left, push with the right. Okay? That is going to give you the most bang for your buck. That is going to give you the biggest improvement in your throws by far. So that's what I want you to work on first. That's what I want you to really try to improve before anything else in this throw. Now, moving on to the second part of the analysis, we want to take a look at what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Again, what's going to give you the most amount of improvement in your full throw. Now, make sure this is going to be secondary to working on the extension of your legs in that power position. You need to work on the extension of the legs in the power position first before you move on to what we're going to talk about now. Now, what we're going to talk about here is not really a huge correction, but it's something that will make a big difference in your throws and correct a lot of what you're calling that over-rotation. As you notice, that right foot is going to come way over here to the left side of that circle. So there is going to be some over-rotation. It's not bad. I have seen a lot worse, but it's something that I think needs to be addressed. In reality, it has nothing to do with your legs. It has to deal with this left arm. You are what I call a caster, sort of like somebody who went fishing and they're trying to cast the bait as far as possible. You really throw that left arm. And what happens is that as you throw the left arm, see how this left arm is swinging around. You're violently throwing that left arm. What's going to happen is you're going to point your body into the left side of the circle. See how your head, your sternum, and everything is pointing right over here? Well, where's the foot pointing? And where's your right leg going to land? Boop. A little bit of over-rotation. Now at this point, you have to stop your left arm and stop the discus from moving in order to land in that really nice power position. So in essence, if you watch, there's a lot of things that are happening because you're swinging that left arm around. By swinging that left arm and trying to get more velocity through the circle, boom, there comes the left arm swinging. The discus goes in front of the hip, so you're losing a lot of separation. As we already talked about, you're over-rotating just a little bit into that circle. But another big problem that happens because of this is that you have to stop the discus from moving. The discus essentially stops. See how that discus hasn't moved much? The discus stops to allow you to get into a good power position. And that's three things that we never want to happen. We never want to lose separation, because when we lose separation, we have to stop the discus to get in a good power position. We never want to stop that discus. And we never want to over-rotate and get into a bad position with our feet. Well, that's three things. But what's going to fix these three things? Believe it or not, it's going to be keeping your left armpit closed. As you drive, we want to make a letter X. Now, this was something that was shown to me that was so easy to explain, I was killing myself when I first heard it, because it's the easiest thing to explain. You want to make a letter X. So as you drive across that circle, to prevent you from taking that left arm and whipping that left arm around, you want to make a letter X with your left arm and your right thigh. So as you come through, your right thigh is going to be here, and your left arm will be over that right thigh. So imagine keeping your left armpit closed. If your left armpit was closed here, your right arm would be hovering, your left arm would be hovering over your right leg, making a letter X. So that's what we want to try to do, make that letter X. That's going to keep your upper body back. It's going to keep better separation between your upper and lower body as you drive across that circle. And it's going to keep the discus moving. You're not going to have to stop that discus at any point in the throw. And it will help prevent you from over-rotating. So that right there is a big correction that will help solve a lot of little issues. You can't really look at the issues and try to correct the issues step by step. You've got to take a look at all the issues and say, what's the main cause? What's the main root of these problems? So those are two things, Stefan, that will take you quite a while to work on. They seem pretty easy. As you watch the video now that it's been identified to you, you're probably saying to yourself, you know what, that makes sense. I can go out and fix that tomorrow. You might not be able to fix these things for, again, a couple of weeks. It might take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days of practice, 2 weeks of practice to correct these two things. But these are two things that are going to give you the most improvement on your throw in the shortest amount of time. These are going to get you results. They're big corrections. They're things that you really need to work on. But by correcting these things and focusing only on these things, you're going to have more improvement and more PRs with your throws. Okay? So that, in my opinion, are the two things to work on. Again, in that standing throw position, we want to work from the ground up. So break it down. Make it a mechanical, robotic thing to work on. Turn the feet first. Violent extension of both legs, which in turn will rotate the hips. Then you can pull that left arm, then you can push the right arm. So feet, knee, hip, pull, push. And then as you're driving onto the back of the circle, whether it's in the South African position here or whether it's in the full throw, you need to stop that left arm from swinging around. You need to make the letter X. Keep that letter X the entire time. You can see here the letter X is there in the standing throw. The letter X is there in the power position. There's the letter X. Left arm, right thigh, making that letter X. But in order to get there, the discus had to slow down. So make that letter X the entire throw. Make that letter X as you drive across the circle. Don't swing that left arm around. Now, a great drill to help you do this is to take a towel or to take an old t-shirt or an old rag and put it in your armpit. Close that rag in your armpit. That way, if you throw that left arm, you will identify immediately when you open it because the rag or the t-shirt will drop to the ground. So take that t-shirt, take that towel, stick it in your left armpit, and try to keep it there for the entire throw. So that's a couple of good drills right there to work on to make sure that you're not opening up that left arm. All right? So at this point, I think those are the two big things that I really want you working on. Those are the two big things that I really think will give you the most improvement in the shortest amount of time, but it is going to take some time to fix. As with all my video analysis, Stefan, I wanted to let you know, this is not where the analysis ends. If you have any questions about the analysis, if you have any questions about what I talked about here in this video, if you want to send a follow-up video in a couple of weeks to see if you've improved, please go ahead and do so. That's totally free. I'm always available by email, and I answer email rather quickly. So, great job with the video. Great job of sending me the video at quarter speed so we can really identify these issues. Get to work. It's going to take a few days of work to really try to improve your throw, but I think if you improve these two things, you're going to see really, really big results in a short amount of time. Alright, if there's any questions, as I said, please email me back and let me know. Thank you again for signing up for this video analysis. It's cheap. It's a great way of getting you to improve your throws really quickly and to get a different look at what you've been doing. And if you ever want to do it again, by all means, let me know. We can get it set up. And again, if there's any questions, shoot me over a quick email. Hope to talk to you soon.